My parents tricked me into a $100,000 renovation for my genius brother. I filed a lien that cost them the house. They said, Alex works with his hands, Ryan works with his mind. Now Ryan can work on paying me back. There's a saying in my line of work, measure twice, cut once. It means you have to be precise. You have to anticipate the problems before they happen. You have to know exactly where the load-bearing walls are before you start swinging the hammer. If you cut the wood too short, you can't stretch it back. If you pour the foundation wrong, the house falls down. For 30 years, I applied that rule to every house I built. I applied it to every kitchen I remodeled and every deck I framed. I was meticulous. I was careful. But I never applied it to my own family. I never measured their integrity. I just started cutting. And when I finally stepped back to look at the finished product, I realized I had built a castle for people who wanted to bury me in the foundation. My name is Alex Mercer. I am 32 years old. I am a licensed general contractor. And last month, I single-handedly bankrupted my parents and my brother with one sheet of paper. To understand why I did it, you have to understand the Mercer family hierarchy. It wasn't just favoritism, it was a caste system. I was the blue-collar mistake. From the time I was a kid, I barely scraped by in school. I hated sitting in classrooms. I couldn't focus on abstract theories. But give me a Lego set, or a broken toaster, or a pile of wood, and I could build anything. I liked the smell of sawdust. I liked the feeling of solving a problem with my hands. My parents, Robert and Linda, were academics. Dad was a professor. Mom was a librarian. To them, manual labor was something you hired people to do, not something you did. And then there was Ryan. My younger brother, Ryan, was the golden child. He was 2 years younger than me, but he was light years ahead in my parents' eyes. Ryan was a visionary. Ryan got straight A's. Ryan went to a private university, which my parents paid for, $60,000 a year. Ryan got an MBA, which my parents paid for. Ryan called himself a tech entrepreneur, which is a fancy way of saying he was unemployed, lived in a luxury apartment my parents co-signed for, and had a lot of ideas for apps that nobody wanted. I remember the science fair in 8th grade. It's a small memory, but it explains everything. I built a working hydraulic bridge out of popsicle sticks and syringes. It could lift 10 pounds. It was ugly, but it worked perfectly. I won second place. Ryan, in 6th grade, made a poster board about the future of solar energy. He didn't build anything. He just printed out pictures and memorized a speech. He won first place. Ryan is going to change the world, my dad told the neighbors that night, beaming at the blue ribbon. And Alex, well, Alex is very handy. He fixed the toaster last week. That was the dynamic. Ryan was the brain, I was the hands. Ryan was the future, I was the maintenance crew. I skipped college. While my friends were racking up student debt, I apprenticed with a master carpenter. By 25, I started Mercer Construction. By 30, I had a crew of 5 guys, a fleet of trucks, and a 6-figure income. I owned my home. I had 0 debt. But to my parents, I was just the handyman. They never asked about my business revenue. They only called when their sink was leaking or their deck needed staining. Last Thanksgiving, the trap was set. We were at my parents' rental condo. Ryan was there, talking loudly about his new venture, Neuralink, some kind of AI-driven marketing platform that sounded like buzzword soup. We bought a house. Mom chirped suddenly, clapping her hands to interrupt Ryan's monologue. They laid out photos on the dining table. It was a dilapidated 1920s farmhouse on 5 acres about an hour outside the city. It looked like a horror movie set. Peeling lead paint, sagging porch, overgrown weeds. It's a wreck, I said, my contractor immediately spotting the water damage on the roofline. It's a diamond in the rough. Dad said, beaming. We got it for a steal. It's our forever home, Alex. We want to fix it up and retire there. We want to age in place. Grow a garden. Be peaceful. Get away from the city noise. Then came the turn. They both looked at me. The same look they gave me when the dishwasher broke. Alex, Mom said, putting her hand on mine. Her hand was soft. Mine was calloused. We need your help. We used most of our liquidity to buy the property. We have a budget for materials, but Labor is so expensive these days. Contractors are charging an arm and a leg. We were hoping, Dad added, that you could take charge. Manage the project. Maybe do the work on weekends? We can't pay you your full rate, obviously, but your family. And one day, this house will be yours and Ryan's inheritance. You're investing in your own future. I hesitated. I was booked solid with paying clients. I had a kitchen remodel in the city and a deck build in the suburbs. Please, Alex, Ryan chimed in. He was sipping a craft beer I had brought. He didn't offer to pay for the beer, of course. Do it for Mom and Dad. They deserve this. I'd help, but I'm in the middle of a seed round. I can't spare the mental bandwidth for manual labor. That's your department. My department. The grunt work. But I looked at my mom. She looked old. Her hands shook a little. I thought about them struggling in that drafty, rotting house. I thought about family duty. Okay, I said. I'll do it. I'll cover the labor. You pay for materials. But I do it on my timeline. Oh, thank you. Mom hugged me. You're such a good son. I should have measured twice. The renovation took 6 months, and it nearly broke me. It wasn't just weekends. It was every weekend. It was Tuesday and Thursday nights. It was me pulling my crew off paying jobs to help me lift LVL beams because the old load-bearing wall was rotted through. The house was in worse shape than I thought. The wiring was knob-in tube, a fire hazard. The plumbing was lead. The foundation had a crack. I fixed it all. And the materials budget my parents had? It dried up in month 2. Alex, Dad said one afternoon at Home Depot, looking at the invoice for the new HVAC system. We're a little tight this month. The pension check hasn't cleared. Can you float this? We'll pay you back when our CD matures in the fall. Sure, Dad, I said. I put $8,000 on my business credit card. Then the scope creep started. Originally, they said they wanted standard finishes. Vinyl flooring, laminate counters, fiberglass shower. But once the walls were up, Mom changed her tune. She said, looking at a magazine, since we're saving so much on labor, maybe we should go with a white oak wide plank flooring? It's timeless. Mom, that's $12 a square foot, I said. Vinyl is $3. But it's our forever home, she said, giving me the puppy dog eyes. I wanted to be perfect. I bought the oak, $15,000. Then it was the kitchen. Quart counters, Dad said. Granite is dated. Custom cabinets, Mom said. I need soft close drawers. Heated floors in the master bath, Dad added. For my arthritis. Every time I pushed back on the cost, they played the inheritance card. It's an investment, Alex. It's for the family. By month 5, I had put $80,000 of my own money into the house. Materials, permits, dumpster rentals, and paying my guys when I needed extra hands. I was bleeding cash. I had to turn down 2 paying jobs just to keep up with their demands. I didn't ask for a contract. They were my parents. They said it was their forever home. They said they would pay me back. But the moment that really twisted the knife happened in month 4. I was installing the drywall in the living room. I was covered in white dust, sweating through my shirt. Ryan showed up. He wasn't there to help. He was there to show off. He had brought 2 men with him, guys in suits, potential investors for Neuralink. And this, Ryan said, gesturing around the half-finished living room like he owned it, is the family estate. We're doing a complete restoration. It's going to be a retreat center for our executive team once the company launches. He walked past me. He didn't introduce me. Hey, buddy, Ryan said to me, snapping his fingers. Can you keep the noise down with the drill? We're trying to have a meeting. One of the investors looked at me. Is the contractor staying? He's just the help, Ryan said. He'll be done soon. I turned off the drill. I stared at Ryan. I wanted to put him through the wall I just built. But I didn't. I swallowed my pride. I finished the drywall. Because I promised Mom. July 4th. The project was 99% done. The house was magnificent. I had transformed a rotting shell into a modern farmhouse masterpiece. Open concept, chef's kitchen, spa bathroom, wraparound porch. It was million-dollar work. My parents hosted a barbecue at the new house to celebrate. I was at the grill, cooking burgers for everyone. I was exhausted. My back ached. I had spent the morning installing the final light fixtures while Ryan slept in. I ran out of propane. I went into the house to grab the spare tank from mudroom. The kitchen window was open. The screen was missing. I hadn't installed it yet. My parents and Ryan were on the back porch, just out of sight, sitting in the Adirondack chairs I had assembled. They didn't know I was inside. "It's incredible," Ryan said. "Alex really outdid himself. The valuation on this place is going to be insane. The market comp is huge." "The realtor said we can list it for $900,000, Dad said. I heard the clink of ice in a glass. "Maybe $950 in this market." The finishes Alex chose really bumped up the value. I froze. My hand hovered over the propane tank. "List it." "That's perfect," Ryan said. "That gives me the runway I need. If I can put $400,000 into the marketing for Neuralink and get that office space in Seaport, we'll be a unicorn by next year. I just need the capital." The investors are hesitant until I have skin in the game. "We're so proud of you, Ryan," Mom said. I could hear the smile in her voice. "We know you're going to change the world. This house, it was a good flip." "But what about Alex?" Ryan asked. "He put a lot of work into this. Did you tell him yet?" "We'll tell him next week," Dad said. "We'll tell him we decided to downsize to a condo in Florida because the maintenance on this place is too much for our age. We'll say the stairs are too hard on my knees." "He's going to be pissed about the money," Ryan said. "Dad, he put like $100,000 into this place. I saw the receipts on the counter." "He's family," Dad said dismissively. "He did it for us. Besides, Alex makes plenty of money banging nails. He lives simply. He doesn't need it like you do. He's happy with a hammer in his hand. You have a vision. We need to support the brain of the family. We'll give him a few $1,000 for his trouble," Mom added. "Maybe $5,000? That should cover his time. You won't know the difference. He's not exactly a mathematician." They all laughed. I stood in the mudroom. My blood ran cold. "He likes the work. He doesn't need it. We'll give him a few $1,000. He's not a mathematician." They weren't aging in place. They were flipping the house, and I was the free labor. They lured me in with a guilt trip about their retirement, drained my savings account to build a luxury asset, and were planning to sell it to fund Ryan's imaginary tech company. They looked down on me so much they thought I was too stupid to understand math. I put the propane tank down gently. I walked out the back door. I walked past the grill. "Alex," Mom called out from the porch. "The burgers are burning. What are you doing?" I stopped. I looked at them. They looked so comfortable, so entitled. "I'm leaving," I said calmly. "Leaving?" Ryan asked, standing up. "But we haven't eaten, and you need to finish the deck railing. The realtor is coming for photos on Monday." The realtor? They had already booked the photos. "I forgot a specialized tool," I lied. "I can't finish the railing without it. I'll be back tomorrow." I got in my truck. I didn't go home. I went to my office. I sat at my desk, and I opened the file labeled Mercer Farmhouse. Because I'm a professional, I keep records, even for family, especially for family. I had every receipt. I had a log of every hour I worked. I had a log of every hour my crew worked. I had text messages from Dad authorizing the granite. I had emails from Mom choosing the hardwood. I had photos of the rot before and the luxury after. They thought I was just the handyman. They forgot I was also a businessman. And they forgot that in the construction world, we have a specific weapon for people who don't pay. I didn't confront them. I didn't scream. I went back the next day and finished the railing. I did it with a smile. I swept the floors. I made it perfect. "All done," I told Dad 3 days later. "Here are the keys." "Thanks, son," Dad said, avoiding my eyes. He looked guilty, but not guilty enough to stop. "You really saved us." 2 days later, the for sale sign went up. They listed it for $925,000. I waited. I watched the listing online. It went pending in 4 days. A bidding war. They accepted an offer for $950,000. Closing was set for August 15th. On August 1st, I met with a construction attorney. "Can I file it?" I asked him, sliding the binder of evidence across the table. You have no written contract, the lawyer said. That makes it harder. But you have unjust enrichment. You have implied contract. And you have receipts proving you paid for materials that are now permanently attached to the real estate. Yes, we can file a mechanic's lien. A mechanic's lien is a nuclear option in real estate. It basically says this contractor improved this property and wasn't paid. The property cannot be sold or refinanced until the debt is settled. I tallied it all up. Materials, $82,000. Labor, MI standard rate, $120,000. Contractor fee, 20%, $40,000. Interest, $8,000. Total lien amount, $250,000. I walked into the county clerk's office and stamped the document. It was public record now. Then I sat back and waited. August 14th, the day before closing. My parents were at the title company, probably pre-signing documents. Ryan was probably already spending the money. My phone rang. It was Dad. Alex. His voice was high-pitched, shaking. What is this? The title officer just came in. She said there's a cloud on the title. She said you filed a lien. I did, I said. I was sitting on my deck, drinking a cold beer. I noticed you were selling the house, Dad. Since you're not living there, I assumed you were ready to settle the final invoice. For $250,000? Dad screamed. Are you insane? We don't have that kind of money. We're broke until the house sells. You will have it when you sell the house, I said. The lien just ensures I get paid first, before Ryan gets his seed money. Hey, Mom grabbed the phone. I could hear her hyperventilating. Alex, we agreed. You were helping family. This was a gift. You can't charge your own parents. I overheard you at the barbecue, Mom, I said. The line went dead silent. I heard you tell Ryan that I like getting dirty. I heard you say you were selling the house to fund a startup. I heard you say you were going to give me a few $1,000 and cut me out because I'm not a mathematician. Alex, you misunderstood, Mom stammered. We were just talking. We were going to surprise you. No, you were scheming, I said. You used me. You tricked me into investing my money and my sweat into a house you never intended to live in. That's fraud, Mom. But I'm being nice. I'm just charging you for the work. That's the friends and family discount. If I charge you for the emotional damage, it would be double. You have to remove the lien. Ryan's voice was in the background now. He sounded frantic. Alex, listen to me. I already spent the money. I laughed. A cold, hard laugh. You spent the money? You haven't sold the house yet. I signed a lease. Ryan yelled. For the office space in the Seaport District. It's a 10-year commercial lease. I put down a $50,000 deposit based on the sale proceeds. If the sale doesn't close tomorrow, I default. They'll sue me. I'll lose everything. That sounds like a visionary problem, Ryan, I said. Maybe you should use that big brain of yours to invent an app that pays your debts. Because I'm done being the ATM. Alex, please, Dad begged. The buyers are going to walk if the title isn't clear. We'll lose the sale. We can't carry this mortgage. Then I guess you're keeping the house, I said. It's a nice house. I built it. Enjoy aging in place. We can't keep it, Dad cried. We can't afford the taxes. The assessment went up because of the renovations. We're tapped out. Then pay me, I said. $250,000. Certified check. And I'll lift the lien. We don't have it. Then you don't sell. I hung up. The next day, the sale collapsed. The buyers didn't just walk, they ran. They had already sold their old house and were ready to move in. When the title company refused to insure the title because of my lien, the buyers threatened to sue my parents for specific performance and damages. Eventually, they took their deposit back and bought a different house down the street. My parents were left holding the bag. Ryan defaulted on his commercial lease 2 weeks later. The landlord sued him personally because he had stupidly signed a personal guarantee. He had to declare bankruptcy. His AI startup died before it even launched. My parents were stuck with a $950,000 house they couldn't sell, couldn't afford to maintain, and couldn't live in because the property taxes skyrocketed due to my high-end renovations. They tried to sue me to remove the lien. They claimed I was a volunteer. We went to court. I sat there in my work boots. Ryan sat there in a cheap suit, looking defeated. I brought my logbook. I brought the receipts. I brought the text messages where Dad authorized the expensive granite. I brought the emails where Mom demanded the white oak floors. The judge was a no-nonsense woman who had clearly dealt with entitled people before. Mr. and Mrs. Mercer, the judge said, looking over her glasses. You admit your son did the work? Yes, but... You admit you authorized these materials? Yes, but... And you admit you plan to sell the house for a profit and not pay him? He's our son. It was for the family. He's a licensed contractor, the judge ruled. And family isn't a legal defense for unjust enrichment. The lien stands. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $250,000. My parents had to sell the house, but they couldn't sell on the open market easily with the lien and the stigma of the failed sale. It sat for 6 months through the winter. The pipes, which they forgot to winterize, froze and burst in the mudroom. Finally, they sold it to a we-buy ugly houses investor for $750,000, a fire sale price. At closing, the title company cut the checks. First, the mortgage was paid off for $100,000. Then, the realtor fees and closing costs, $50,000. Then, Alex Mercer, $250,000. My parents walked away with $50,000. That $50,000 was immediately swallowed up by the capital gains tax, since they hadn't lived there long enough for the exemption, and the legal fees for Ryan's bankruptcy lawyer. They ended up with zero. Actually, less than zero. They damaged their credit scores so badly they couldn't rent a nice apartment. They are now living in a small, 2-bedroom rental in a bad part town. Ryan is working as a barista while he ideates his next venture. He blocked me on social media. I took my $250,000 and bought a piece of land. I'm building my own house. I'm measuring twice and cutting once. And I'm not putting a guest room in for my parents. They call me sometimes. They say I ruined the family. They say I'm greedy. They ask why I couldn't just let it go. I tell them the same thing every time. I didn't ruin anything. I just sent you the bill. You're the ones who couldn't afford it. End of narrative. Have you ever been exploited by family who thought your skills were free? Did you have to use the law to get what you earned? If you believe that a workman is worthy of his hire, hit that like button and subscribe. #MechanicsLien.